Montana's only daily sports talk show, Nuanez Now. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
I like football!
Now here's your host, Coulter Nuanez.
Yo, what's up, Montana? Welcome in. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. I'm Coulter Nuanez, coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned, veteran-owned. If you'd like to make the switch, visit grizzlydisposal.com or call 406-541-7171. Grizzly Disposal, the only Bears that should be in your garbage. Fun show for you today. We'll get things kicked off with Samuel Akim inside the FCS, although we talk mostly just about college football in general. We talk about the FBS potentially expanding to 24-team playoff, and then also what that's going to mean for the rest of college football, the pros and the cons. Do we like it? Do we hate it? Do we love it? Do we not? And we talked a little bit about the NBA as well because, you know, it's May 6th. So we have some FCS stuff, and we will have some more FCS stuff coming your way, but today, more of a wide-ranging conversation with Sammy. We're also going to talk some NBA, because I'm excited about the Timberwolves San Antonio Spurs game this evening. I think it has a chance to be a good one. We're also going to give you some thoughts on some of the news of the day here, including the Grizz softball team. They continue to fight it out and slug it out in Pocatello, Idaho. The Grizz won a loser-out game yesterday against Portland State. Then they win a loser-out game today against Northern Colorado. So now they're playing again. So the Grizz already have 3 wins at this conference tournament, including 2 in loser-out games. Right now they are knotted at 1-1 against Sac State in the top of the second. Again, this is a winner keeps on going, and the loser is out. So this has been a great run so far for the Grizz. 40 base hits entering this game here that's going on right now. And they got 4 more hits. So 44 hits through 5 games. They're seeing the ball, through 4 games and 1 inning, I guess. Seeing the ball pretty darn well there for the Grizz. So we'll keep on talking about that, give you updates on what's going on with Grizz softball. And that's all just in hour number 1. Hour number 2, Matt Brown, the Extra Points newsletter. He's a friend of the show, a guy that swings by from time to time to talk about the wide world of college sports. He and I talked about everything from the Learfield deal, with Learfield Sports being acquired by private equity, to college football playoff expansion, to the NCAA tournament, expanding to 76 teams. All that and more on a very insightful ESPN Roundtable coming up at 5 o'clock. And then we'll also continue our recruiting coverage. Jack Ryan, Billings West, a commitment to the University of Montana, will join us to talk about just what made the Grizz stand out in his mind. So there you go. That's the deal. That's what's coming up. So we got to get rolling. One of your favorites to lead this show off. Inside the FCS, back for another week. Samuel Akim jamming in here on Nuanez Now. We got to start with the discourse that we were just having on Twitter. College football expanding. So this is actually not even an FCS topic. This is a bigger college football topic.
You're elitist, Coulter.
It's going to trickle downhill, right? So looking almost certain that the FBS is going to go to a 24-team playoff. You love it.
I love it.
I don't love it. Why do you love it?
Well, you know I'm pro everybody at least having 1 seat at the table. So if you look at it from an FBS standpoint, and you don't think everybody deserves a seat at the table, which is fair, but if you look at it from an FBS standpoint, 10 automatic qualifying bids, similar to how the FCS is. I can't remember how many. I think there's 10, 11 FCS conferences as well. But everybody gets a seat. If you win your conference, you're going to get into the playoffs. Past that, there's 14 at-large bids. That leaves all the space in the world for all your freaking SEC schools that you think deserve a spot to get in, all your freaking Big Ten schools that you think deserve a spot to get in, and everybody's happy. Like, why are we mad about expanding a playoff when over the years it's been, oh, why are we letting these G6 in? They don't deserve to get in. Why are we letting, and then there's the people that the school of thought that are people like, oh, well, you're letting an 8-4 SEC team in, or you're letting a 9-3 SEC team in when they didn't deserve it. Well, all in both scenarios are going to be able to get in, and we'll get to duke it out, because say what you want, and maybe this isn't the norm. Maybe this was just an exception. Illinois State was an unseeded team that beat the number 1 ranked team in the country last year and made it all the way to the national championship and lost by 1 point. Villanova was also a lower seeded team. What were they, like 8, 9, 10, somewhere in that range? And they made it to the semifinals and had a chance to go to the national championship. I mean, and that is why you give everybody at least a shot at the table. And, Villanova wasn't even in because they won their conference. Illinois State wasn't even in because they won their conference. Neither won their conference. They got an at-large bid, and see what they did with it. That's why I think everybody at least deserves a seat at the table, and then you do the 14 at-larges.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've thought about this when it comes to the FCS as well, because I just think that Sam Herder and I talked about this earlier this week. I think that there is a future in which the FCS is actually a more competitive product when the best teams leave it. Montana State, South Dakota State. And in that scenario, like if I don't know how you would gauge this, but I feel like there has to be some sort of barometer for investment. Like if you're investing in football at a high level and you have all these things that are very FBS caliber, like the Cats and the Grizz have right now with revenue sharing, NIL, the facilities, the practice facilities, the stadiums, all these things. That's going to give you a huge advantage, but also you're playing a different game than, Austin P or, Charleston Southern or Chattanooga. Yeah. If you're playing all the same game, now it gets more intriguing. Like I don't have as much of a problem with the Pioneer League getting in an automatic bid to the FCS playoffs if it's more of like a mid-major type of deal.
Where everybody's that level.
Where everybody's sort of at that level. I also think that'd be fun to watch. I don't know how you make money off of it, because I just don't know what the draws are if you eliminate like the 3 biggest fan bases or the 5 biggest fan bases in the country.
Do you feel like the regular season has been devalued in FCS football?
It's a really good question.
Because I don't. I think it still matters. I mean, we are watching up until the last week. Now, obviously, it's the Brawl of the Wild and all that stuff. But. Yeah.
So in this playoff expansion, I'm actually naive to this. I don't know. In this playoff expansion for the FBS, is it? Are the playoff games? The playoff games are not home games after the first round, right?
I don't know. I don't know if they would, but I think they're only guaranteeing right now that the first round will be home games. Now, that's something that I would want all the way up until at least the semis. In my opinion,
that's what makes the FCS regular season matter so much. Is getting the home field advantage.
Absolutely.
We've seen it for 30 years.
That's an easy way to make the regular season matter.
Right, because teams don't go on the road to win in the playoffs as you get deeper into the playoffs in the FCS, hardly at all. So having the locked in, we got the home field, we're the 1 or the 2 seed, we got home games, like that is what makes the games matter.
Absolutely.
I worry about then.
But you got all these bowl games that people want their piece of the pie, and bowl games are like, I love the bowl games, but also like you can't have both, unfortunately.
Right. Well, that's what I worry about is. If they're not playing for home field advantage, I guess Ohio State proved this 2 years ago. Ohio State proved that nothing in the regular season actually mattered. They were the best team all along, but they still lost to Oregon and Michigan during the regular season. Yeah, and it didn't do anything to hurt them because all they got to do is get healthy and go play neutral site games, and they just ripped everybody's faces off in the playoffs, and they won the national championship.
Would they have done that if they had to go on the road, though?
Right. That's the thing. I would be way more of a proponent of this expansion if you're playing for home games.
Yep.
But like you said, you can't have both, and everybody loves, not everybody, but a lot of people love the pageantry,
the Rose Bowls, the
having
orange.
the playoff games be the bowl games and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
So, you're like you said, it has to be one or the other, right? If they went to the home games, then now the regular season does gain validity.
Yeah.
Because being one of those top 4 seeds or one of those top 2 seeds in the FCS has helped teams make such deep runs. So that's what I would like to see at the highest level.
Yeah, I would like to see it too. I mean, I just love it so much how it is at the FCS. I just like the fact that everybody gets an opportunity. You may not win, but there are some competitive games in those first rounds. I mean, last year we saw Central Connecticut State was in a pretty dang close game with the 9th seeded team in Rhode Island. And Central Connecticut State, as if anybody listens to Akim's analysis, I'm not high on the NEC. I don't think they're a very competitive conference. I don't think they play a very strong brand of football. Same with the Pioneer. I'm not super high on the Pioneer League. I think they compete within their conference, same as the NEC. All those teams are going to compete within conference. When they get against a Big Sky, when they get against a Missouri Valley Football Conference team, What are we doing? What are we talking about? Like, North Dakota State has religiously boat raced them in the playoffs every single year. Drake, I'm talking about. Or if you get a Duquesne, like, I get that. But I still like the fact that, hey, we won our conference. We're conference champions. Our season doesn't just end there just because you don't respect our conference. We still have a chance to play for a national championship. And as a kid, playing college football, that matters to me. Even if, say, we don't have a chance, we don't have a shot as a coach and as a player on that team, I believe that we can win. And I believe if you let us in the dance, we have an opportunity to win. Even if everybody on the outside doesn't think so, even if everybody on the outside thinks we're delusional, we deserve a shot. We did what we needed to do to win our conference. And you may not think our conference is worth a dang, but we think it's worth a dang. And we love our conference and we think it's competitive. And, you know, say one year there is a really, really strong NEC conference team or there's a really strong Pioneer conference team and you don't let that team in. That is going to suck for like UCF back in 2017 before we had the 12 team. They could have competed in a 12-team playoff. They could have competed in a 24-team playoff.
They could. UCF is a different outlier though, because I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What is the gap farther between like Drake or whoever wins the Pioneer League, San Diego, and North Dakota State, or like Toledo and Alabama?
Ooh, I would say Toledo, Alabama. The gap is farther. Bigger. Yeah.
So then, why are the Power Fours ever going to let those teams in? Like, I think that.
Are you assuming Toledo is the champion though? Like, is the
right.
MAC
That's
champion?
What I'm saying, like the MAC champion, like the MAC champion or the Mountain West champion.
I would say the gap is bigger than NDSU than Drake than it is from Toledo, the MAC champion in Alabama.
Yeah.
Even though that game probably will still be a blowout, Alabama Toledo.
Yeah, I guess the thing that I fear the most out of the 2014 playoff is that I think the Power Four are going to try to make it so that they're the only ones that get a seat at the table. They're already.
That's
doing
why I think the auto bids. You got to have an auto bid for every conference.
Yeah, like the NCAA tournament expansion. This is not about getting more little guys into the tournament. This is about getting all the big guys into the tournament.
Mm-hmm. And I hate that.
2 years ago, the SEC had every single men's basketball team but one in the NCAA tournament. Like, all you had to do was finish 13th in the SEC to get the NCAA tournament. To me, that's dumb.
That's ridiculous.
Like, you have to have a maximum amount of bids, and I just hope that that's not where the FBS goes, because I just think that would be sad for the sport if we're staring at a future where a 2014 playoff is just 8-8-8-8, or 6-6-6-6 from the four Power Four conferences.
Yeah, I hate how and that's why I want the auto bids, because just because you play in a better conference, you didn't prove that you were one of the best teams in that conference throughout the season. Like, you didn't, unfortunately. So, yes, a Toledo is going to get in over your 8-4 Tennessee. Yes, Conference USA. Say, I don't even know who's in the Conference USA, but yes, like in the Mountain West Conference, yes, that champion is going to get in over an 8-4 whatever Big Ten team it is. Like, yes, I think that matters, and I do get exactly what you're saying with the NCAA tournament, men's basketball tournament, and I get exactly what you're saying with how they want this to be. It's going to be 24 teams. They're not going to give any auto bids. They're just going to give 4 auto bids to each Power 4 conference, and then you can go the rest with wherever you want. But like, no, I don't want that. And that's why I am pro auto bid. That's why I am pro, like you said, home games up until through the quarterfinals. I think that would incentivize teams as well. Say you get home field advantage through the quarterfinals. That wouldn't necessarily incentivize you to be the 1 or 2 seed, but it would incentivize you to be a seeded team, because multiple games throughout the playoffs are going to be on your home turf. I think that matters.
Tim and Kim joining us here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. It's Inside the FCS, proudly presented by Paradise Falls of Missoula. Paradise Falls, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Great place to gather with family and friends alike. Check them out at 3621 Brook Street, Paradise Falls, Missoula's coolest hotspot. So, let me ask you this. Is there a scenario in which, like, Northern Colorado ever catches Montana State?
I think if they can stack, the thing is, the problem with Northern Colorado is talent-wise, I think Northern Colorado just had one of their best seasons in 2025, and basically everybody's gone. Quarterback's gone. Carver Cheeks is gone. Right. Monroe, the other receiver, is gone. They have their center, Jack Zybal. He's back, but everybody else is gone. So I think if they were to bring all those guys back, and then maybe they had a better defense, maybe they had a better run game, I think it's. Yes, to answer your question without getting too deep into it, I think there is a world where maybe they could catch them, but I think it takes some time.
I just thought about this a lot. I think that I ask this because of the dynamic of the FBS too. Like, I just don't think that there's a world in which teams from like the MAC and Conference USA and the Sun Belt are ever going to catch the teams in the SEC.
Money's too big at the FBS at this point.
So then how is the 2014 playoff not just going to end up being the powers that be, right? Like, why are they ever going to want to share a table with Troy or App State or,
Is Florida Atlantic ever going to win the men's basketball tournament?
No.
What are we saying? Stephen F. Austin ever going to win the men's basketball tournament?
Nope.
Why do we still let them in?
Man.
It's the same concept because everybody loves a Cinderella. Everybody loves hope.
Basketball, you can have upsets at such a higher level, and it's so much because of one element. It's the three-point shot.
But are they ever going to win the Natty? Have we seen any of those teams
but they can
as
win
great
games.
as they are?
I don't think that these teams can even win games, right?
I think they can.
You want to know what I think is the one? I think that the Mountain West is the league that could change the whole landscape of all of this.
Maybe the old Mountain West. I don't think this.
But I just think that there's very few places now where you're going to stay if you have a chance to go.
Yeah.
But if you're out west because of the small populations of the state, of the states, the fervent fan bases, like you know what I mean? Like we see this in Montana a lot. We were talking about this with the draft last week too. Like what's the hope for the future of the Big Sky Conference? Well, the future of the Big Sky Conference in the NFL draft, it rests almost exclusively on the shoulders of the guys from Montana. Those are the guys that are going to choose to stay at Montana or Montana State, right?
Yeah.
That's why I think that you can have that same deal in the Mountain West, especially at North Dakota State, right? Like a guy choosing to stay at North Dakota State instead of going to Iowa or Minnesota or something, that we've seen that. We've seen that time and again, right? I just don't know how. Like if you especially specifically Conference USA and the Sun Belt and the MAC, those three leagues, you're just going to be a feeder program.
Yeah.
Like, well, why would you stay at Miami of Ohio if you could go to Ohio State? No one is going to do that. Nobody.
Amen.
But you might stay at Montana instead of going to Washington.
Yeah.
You're from Billings.
Yeah. So you're saying the 2014, you're okay with it at the FCS. You still disagree with it, but at the FBS, you think it's just absolutely asinine?
I just think that it's the thing that we don't want is for the least amount of people to have seats at the table.
Which is most likely to happen.
Exactly. And I think that this opens the 24-team expansion just opens up that.
That's just greed, man.
I also think that there's going to be a scenario where like the SEC or the Big Ten has such a strong strength of schedule that there'll be a time when the team that finished 7th or 8th in the Big Ten gets into the playoff over like the number 2 team in the Mountain West or something like that.
Yeah.
And one team's an 11-win team and one team is a 7-5 team. But because they lost to 5 top 10 teams or whatever, they get in.
But this is my biggest argument with the SEC and their strength of schedule. Why is their strength of schedule so strong? Because they start they play each other and they start the season with 10 ranked teams. Oh, so they beat a ranked team earlier in their season. But if you look at it later on in the season, that once ranked team is like 5-7 right now, or 5-6, or 5 and whatever. They're not good, but they were ranked, and you beat that ranked team even though they aren't ranked. I hate that because people always bring up that argument with the fact that the SEC has the strongest strength of schedule and they're playing ranked teams every week. And it's like, why are they ranked? Because the preseason rankings are so swayed in their direction, even when some of those teams are terrible.
Yeah, that part's hard too. So I guess, good discussion here because you've brought me back around to actually wanting maybe the mid-majors to have a seat at the table or the non-power fours.
Idaho was ranked in my preseason ranking last year. They were not good, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I just don't want to open the door for there to be a vacuum of power that favors the power conferences even more. But it seems like that's the way.
The way to keep that away in a 2014 playoff is to give all 10 conferences an auto bid, Coulter.
Yeah. Yeah, and
you can do whatever you want with the 14 at-larges.
I would be in favor of the 24-team expansion of the FBS if there's some semblance of home games at least until the semifinals.
Yeah,
and there's auto bids for for all the conferences. I think that would make it fun.
So you're saying the semifinals would have to be home games?
Or just like at least you're playing for some home games, right? Like a couple rounds worth of home games.
I
Maybe
feel like
before the semifinal, like if they made the semis and the finals bowls, that's fine.
Yeah. I don't think people are going to allow the Rose Bowl to go away. So I think it'd have to be up until the quarterfinals, like home games to the quarterfinals, because you're going to have to fit the Rose Bowl in there. I think the Cotton Bowl, you're going to be hard pressed to see them throw the Cotton Bowl away. So I think those are two bowls that are like the Rose Bowl is not going anywhere. They're not going to let that game be played by the 26th and the 30th ranked team in the country. It's just not going to happen. It's going to be one of those nationally televised semifinals games, one of those playoff games. So it has to be the quarterfinals because the Rose Bowl isn't going anywhere, and I can't really see the Cotton Bowl and maybe even the Orange Bowl, the Chick-fil-A Bowl in Atlanta. Like the Sugar Bowl, absolutely. I mean, there's like 5 or 6. Those New York 6, it's tough. So that's why I just don't think they can do, because also too, you have to understand the contracts that they have with all these bowl games and all the money. I mean, it's money at the end of the day, man. Money rules everything, and that's what's going to control ultimately what we see turn out is what is going to make them the biggest dollar. Because remember, the CFP is a for-profit organization. They are looking for the dollars.
And that's the part that we all just sit here and still watch it. That's the thing, right? Regardless if I think that it's devaluing the regular season or whatever, I can make any argument I want. Guess
You're
what?
going to turn the TV on. Yeah.
It's the same thing with the NCAA tournament. I think the NCAA tournament's going to have 96 teams in it before this thing is all said and done. And I think that every single team in the SEC and the Big Ten is going to make it. And I think that's dumb.
Who is in that room? Who's in that room saying yes to 74 teams, and what is the justification? Or however many teams it is. 76?
Yeah. 76, and I think that the justification is added revenue opportunities. You can have the tournament start 4 days earlier and have all these play-in games and TV.
You get to go to the TV. Yeah, ridiculous. I will say this in terms of it's the NBA playoffs, but like everybody says, all these leagues are becoming unwatchable. College football playoff is unwatchable. Aren't they killing it in ratings? NFL is unwatchable. Aren't they killing it in ratings? The NBA playoffs, the first round was like the most watched in like the last 15 to 20 years. Like everything is just up and to the right, and everybody swears all these leagues are unwatchable, but people are just watching sports more and more and more.
Yeah, it's crazy. Why do you think that is?
Because sports are amazing. Like, NBA basketball is freaking awesome. NBA playoff basketball. I know I love the regular season. There was 82 games on the Thunder season this year. I probably watched 79 of those games. College football is freaking amazing. FBS football. I know D2, D3. I don't watch a ton of D2, D3, but college football is amazing. NFL football is amazing. That's why everything's up and to the right, because say what you want about this and that. Oh, I don't like how soft they are. I don't like the foul baiting. Whatever league you want to say about it, whatever you want to say about it. It's ridiculous, because when you're sitting on your couch on Saturday or on Sunday or whenever any of these leagues are playing and you're thinking about something to watch, live sports is the first thing you're thinking about watching. If there's no live sports on, I'm more sad when there's no live sports on, especially NBA basketball, NFL football, and college football. It's the best thing. It's the best thing ever right now.
Yeah, I've thought about this a lot with the NBA, because I think that like the national noise screams that the NBA is not as popular as it once was, but then the ratings say differently, right?
It's amazing. Also, it's more globalized. You got to think about Wembanyama is a freaking alien. He's a Frenchman. So there's a ton of probably French viewership. Nikola Jokic from Serbia. Luka Doncic, who's hurt right now, is from Czechoslovakia, I think, or Slovenia. I mean, you got a bunch of international players. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is Canadian. I mean, the globalization of NBA basketball, I think, is added to the viewership as well, because there's so many fans in Asia and Europe and even Africa who want to watch the game because their best players. Joel Embiid is Cameroonian. My father's Cameroonian. That is somebody who I root for simply because he's Cameroonian. Sure. I can't believe, like, there's probably a whole country who wants to see Joel Embiid play simply because he's from their country.
Yeah, I mean, I love the NBA, so you're preaching to the choir. I love it. And I also think, Samuel Kemp joining us here on Nuanez Now May ESPN Radio. I also think that a lot of the old heads that say oh man, it used to be so much better, so much more physical. It's just not true. First of all, the defenses in the NBA now are just so sophisticated, so unbelievable. I mean, watch the Thunder play defense, man. They play defense like the Bad Boys Pistons. If the Bad Boys Pistons had the most advanced technology ever to be able to like sophisticatedly,
they just don't fight you. That's the only thing they don't have with the Bad Boy Pistons.
They're playing chess when you're playing checkers while also having a backyard brawl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me this. Why do you think that the general public has such a hard time compartmentalizing what the Thunder are? Like, the Thunder metrically are one of the greatest teams in the history of the NBA.
Yes.
And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is right now on a streak that, like, maybe two guys.
He didn't score 20. He didn't score 20 yesterday, but it is a regular season record.
Sure, but like you look at his shooting splits and stuff.
Yes.
I mean, there's like one player that's ever had.
Nobody's ever done it. 55% scoring plus 30. Michael Jordan didn't even do it.
That's what I'm saying, bro. It's Larry Bird and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That's it for guys that have shot the ball at the level of efficiency he shoots it at. But if you were to say Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is one of the best players in NBA history, people would be like, "What? What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
If you say the Thunder are an all-time great team, people are like, "What? Why? Why do you think that is?"
Well, I believe there's a conversation being had out there that the Thunder can play a certain way and play with a certain form of physicality that the rest of the NBA can't. So, like, the Thunder can bump you and be all up in your chest and play and hit you all the time, but when another team tries to play that way, they get fouls. Another reason why I think a lot of people don't like Shai, I think it's two reasons. I think Shai is so good that he's gotten to the point he's won a championship. He's won an MVP. He's going to win a second MVP this in a couple of weeks. He was a finals MVP. He was a scoring champ last year. I think he's gotten to the point to where he's so good that the only way you can talk about him is to find something negative to say about him. Like, oh, we have to knock him down a peg. But also, I think there's a facet of it where it's like, a lot of people don't love the fact that he seeks calls at times. Like yesterday in the first quarter, he was looking to get foul calls, and it was a little bit ridiculous. Like he wasn't playing well, and part of the reason he wasn't playing well was because he was looking for the foul. And a lot of people are along the lines, and I'm an avid Shai. I mean, I'm from Oklahoma. We don't have any other pro sports teams. You know how I feel about the Thunder. Like, that is my team through and through. But there was a part of the game where he's looking for the foul, and it's like, you don't have to do that. You are top 3 in the league right now, if not number 1. It's you, Jokic, Luka, Giannis. I mean, there's only a few players you want to put in his conversation right now where he's at right now. And you don't need to play like that. So a lot of fans take that and they use that as the talking point, the only talking point to why he's not great. No, he's great. You just don't like this piece of his game. And when he does this, you don't enjoy it. But Shai is absolutely amazing. But I think those are two things. They're winning a lot. They play very physical. A lot of people think that they play a certain way, but other teams don't get to play that way. But it just isn't true if you look at the metrics on the number of free throws that they take, the number of free throws that other teams take, all those things. But I'm really biased. So, probably not the best to ask me about the Thunder. No,
but it's a good point. And I also think that sometimes the greatest strength, greatest weakness, right? That's individuals, but that's also entities too. Yeah. I think that one of the greatest strengths of the NBA is that you can follow the league at a very deep level without watching games at all.
Yeah.
Like if you know who to read, who to listen to, and you got the right algorithm on your Instagram and your Twitter, I mean, you can watch highlights all day long. You can get scores. You can get analysis. There's so many sweet podcasters out there.
So many numbers and metrics out on NBA basketball.
I mean, so many. That's a great strength of the league. Also, though, because it's the most social media savvy league that exists in the world.
Everybody's an expert.
You also can just make cut-ups of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander flopping on the ground and 60 seconds, and if that's the only thing somebody sees, they're like, well, I hate the foul merchant. This is garbage. This guy, what?
That is the biggest thing. That is the biggest thing about the online discourse about the Thunder is I'm super convinced that a vast majority of the people that have such a strong opinion about them do not actually watch the games. As I just told you, I watched like 97% of the Thunder games this year. I was locked to the TV. I absolutely love them. But like a lot of people who are posting these clips, they only saw the clip. You only see the negative. And it's just like the 9 versus 1. You can say 9, you can do 9 positive things. The one negative thing you do, that's what people are going to hang on to. But this dude just scored 30 and had 3 free throws. But then the one time he has 12 free throws, you're like, oh yeah, see, that's why it's unwatchable. Did you watch the game though? Were they actual fouls? And that's the thing that upsets me too, is I just saw Pat McAfee, they were having a great discussion on their show about it. He actually gets fouled. The reason that people call him a foul baiter is because he embellishes. And you know, sometimes the best players have to do that. Like Donovan Mitchell just went off last night after the game because he only got to the free throw line, I think 2 times, and they lost to the Pistons in game 1. And he was like, one of my friends just got fined for talking about the refs. I don't know if you saw the Jaylen Brown rant on Twitch about, you know, their loss. Absolutely asinine that he made those comments when, bro, you guys were up 3-1. All you had to do was have one phenomenal game and you guys get to the next round. Anyway, they lost. He went off. Donovan Mitchell was online talking about how, you know, I don't want to speak on the refs because I just saw somebody get fined, but I'm not getting to the line as much as I deserve to get there. And he said, maybe I should start foul baiting. That is why some of the players foul bait also, because you're not going to get the call unless the ref knows, hey, he just hit my arm, and it is a little bit unwatchable. But also it's like, man, like, if you're truly getting, because you look back at some of the embellishments and it's like, no, like he actually got his arm hit, or no, he actually got hit on the elbow. And would they have called it had he not made the movement, had he not, you know, kind of embellished? It's a fair conversation, but I do get why people think it's unappealing to watch. I understand it.
I do too. I also think it's hilarious. Like one of the most common lines among NBA haters is, I haven't watched the NBA in years. Yeah. I don't like it. It's like, well, how do you know?
Exactly.
What do you mean? How do you say you haven't watched it in 10 plus years, but you don't like it? Well, that's just ignorant. Like, you have to watch it. Sit down and watch it, and then tell me you don't like it. Like, sit down and watch that Minnesota San Antonio game the other night.
Oh my gosh, cinema!
Like what are you talking about?
Dude is on one leg, giving the Spurs buckets. How do you not love that?
I mean, and when they say these guys are soft, like, come on, man. The T-Wolves are so tough. Like the Spurs are too. I mean, there's some the Thunder. I mean, there is some tough teams right now. I seriously feel like the old heads.
Have you watched the Pistons play?
Right?
Like, it's the only reason they won 60 games. They can't shoot worth a dang. That's why they almost lost in the first round. But they are the toughest team in the league.
Yeah, right. Totally, man. It drives me nuts that people don't give it more of a chance. But as you said, the ratings are, you know, as high as they've been in a decade.
So. Everything's in the green, and that's all they care about. That's all Adam Silver cares about. You guys can say what you want. My ratings are up. My job is good.
Yep, no doubt. Well, it should be fun to follow along with all things NBA. This was a little bit of FCS talk, but not much. So we'll get back on track with some more FCS stuff next week. We'll brainstorm some good topics. But I do think it's a good conversation for the greater world of college football, because I do think that FBS always is going to trickle downhill to the FCS. And I think that there's a future that exists where the two Montana schools are somewhere in the middle. They're going to be maybe above the FCS and below the Power 4 sometime sooner than later. We'll see. But it was good conversation. Good checking in with you. Samuel Kim joining us here on Nuanez Now. Thanks for doing it, man.
Yes, sir.
It's on the FCS, probably presented by Paradise Falls of Missoula. Paradise Falls, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Need a place to hang out with family and friends alike? Head on down to Paradise Falls, located at 3621 Brook Street. Paradise Falls, Missoula's coolest hot spot. Sometimes the people that work in an athletic department aren't necessarily forward-facing, but they still have a huge impact. The Grizz lost a guy like that just yesterday. Steve Hackney, the longtime equipment manager for Grizz Athletics, passed away at the age of 81. We'll talk a little bit more about Hack, as well as a horrible situation in which maybe you have an opportunity to make a difference. Kyle Whitaker, the head coach for the Montana State Rodeo team, got a big award a couple days ago, and then his wife had a horrible accident yesterday. So we'll give you an update on that and maybe how you can help on the other side. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. It's 129 ESPN Radio.
DeMorris Buick GMC is ready to help you safely travel Montana's scenic roads in comfort and style. Stop by DeMorris today and test drive some outstanding SUVs. Right now, take advantage of closeout pricing on the uniquely designed and well-equipped 2024 Buick Encore GX with models starting at $28,895. Don't miss this opportunity. Go to demorris.com to preview our inventory of 2024 Buick Encores and then pay a visit to DeMorris Buick GMC on West Broadway in Missoula, your family-owned hometown dealership for over 60 years.
It's easy to see why Montana is the treasure state. At the University of Montana, we look inside. We see an old truth with fresh eyes, that Montana's greatest treasure is its people. So whatever tomorrow brings, we meet it the only way we know how, with a mind for making. Because what's made in Montana is remaking the world.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
The Bats came alive once again for the Montana softball team as the Grizz extended their season at the Big Sky Tournament on Wednesday. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. Monday, the Grizz ripped 6 home runs to defeat Weber State 8-3 in the first round, following a 10-1 loss to Idaho State that pushed Montana's season to the brink. UM then bounced back by wrapping out 10 hits to defeat Portland State 9-3 on Tuesday. And on Wednesday, the Grizz kept ripping. Jessica Churms went 4 for 4. JoJo Christensen added 3 more hits, including a home run and a double, and Montana extended its season once again with an 11-7 win over Northern Colorado. Grizz ripped 16 hits all told, dropping 4 runs on the Bears in the top of the 3rd inning, and another 5 runs on UNC in the top of the 5th inning to advance. Montana has pounded out 40 base hits so far in Pocatello, Idaho, as the Grizz chase their first ever Big Sky Tournament title. Grizz softball will take on Sacramento State at 3:30 p.m. today. For the 4th time this outdoor season, Montana State thrower Sydney Brewster earned Big Sky Conference Outdoor Field Athlete of the Week honors. Brewster uncorked a throw of 168 feet 6 inches at the Bengal Invite in Pocatello, Idaho over the weekend to set the Montana State school record. She also threw the shot put 56 feet 1/2 inch, her second best mark of the year. She has set the program records in both the shot put and the discus so far this spring.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
Welcome back. Well, tonight, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned, veteran-owned, and the only Bears that should be in your garbage. We'll start with the good news. Grizz softball still alive at the Big Sky Conference Softball Championship. They've had quite a run here. They hit 6 home runs Monday to dispatch of Weber State. Anna Cockhill had 3 of them just herself, the all-Big Sky player out of Helena Capital. Then they took one on the chin, gave up 13 hits, and lost 10-1 to Idaho State. So their season pushed to the brink. This is a double elimination tournament. So they basically then have had their backs against the wall. Well, yesterday, 9-3 over Portland State behind 11 base hits. Then this morning, 11-7 against Northern Colorado behind 16 base hits. So the Grizz hitting the ball really, really well. Now in the afternoon loser-out game, Grizz score 1 each in the top of the first and top of the second, but they give up 3 runs in the bottom of the second. So here we are in the top of the 4th. Sac State leads Montana 4-2, but Montana's softball season very much still alive. Now for the bad news. A couple pieces that we need to share here, but we have to... I want to get the word out here about one of these things and also pay homage to somebody in another one. So, first of all, Kyle Whitaker, who joined us here on Nuanez Now a couple weeks ago to help preview the spring rodeo season as well as the Montana State Spring Rodeo. He's the head coach at MSU. He's done a great job. He was named the Big Sky Region Coach of the Year on Monday. So that's a big accomplishment for him. Well, last night, his wife, Presley, she was in a horrible accident. She got a rope basically wrapped around her arm, and she was basically drug around the arena, the rodeo arena. I think she must have been roping or riding or something, but broke her jaw and completely severed her hand. Had to have her hand amputated. Had to be flown to Salt Lake City. They tried to reattach the hand, but it wasn't salvageable. This is a horrible deal. I mean, it's so tragic for them. They did have a whole bunch of help to get her there in short order, and I mean, I don't know if it was a life-saving thing, but I mean, it certainly could have been in peril. So certainly, the good news is that she is alive and going to be okay. But this is just a tough deal. So they have a GoFundMe. It's available online. We also put it on our Instagram. So if you can help these folks out, they're just. I don't know Presley at all. I've never met her, but Kyle is awesome. I mean, he's just a down home, salt of the earth Montana cowboy, and we always love having him on the show. He's done a great job for Montana State Rodeo, and just terrible that they had to experience something like this, especially doing something. I mean, I'm assuming they were doing some sort of rodeo something or other, and so that's just a bummer that had to happen. But you can go check out the 1029 ESPN Instagram. It's also on the Skyline Sports Instagram. We just did a collaborative post to try to get it out there to as many people as possible. But if you can, please do help these folks out. The other piece of melancholy news is Steve Hackney, the longtime equipment manager for the Grizz athletic department, died on Tuesday. He was 81 years old. He took over the equipment room in 1981 and served as the head of the equipment room there at Montana all the way until 2010. I think people like this, like people always know, you know about the great players and the coaches and sometimes the administrators as well. Those are the forward-facing people in athletics. When you have a guy like Steve Hackney, he's behind the scenes. So very few people in the public know about this guy, but everybody in the department knows about this guy. The equipment guys are some of the most important guys because you got to have your stuff. Like you got to have your pads, your helmet, your jerseys, your uniforms, your cleats, all that sort of stuff. And there has to be efficiency in it as well. Hackney is well regarded as one of the most efficient and steady equipment managers anywhere in college sports. He's beloved and respected by basically anybody that you ever talk to that worked down at the University of Montana. And certainly a life well lived, a great journey for him. He retired from Montana, by the way, in 2010, but he touched a lot of lives between 1981 and 2010. I know the players loved him. Hack and Stack, the two guys that ran the equipment room, Steve Hackney and Rob Stack. I mean, there's stories for days from former Grizz that would tell you about those guys and just how much they enjoyed seeing them every day. Hackney was a graduate of Hamilton High School in 1962. He joined the Navy, serving as a Spanish linguist. After his military career was over, he worked in the lumber mill and in mining before he chose to attend Montana. Sort of later in life, 1968. He graduated from Montana in 1972 with a degree in human health performance and an emphasis on athletic training and physical therapy. Got his graduate degree at Indiana State in athletic training, and then he returned to the Bitterroot Valley, and then he became the longtime equipment manager at Montana. He passed away at his home in the Bitterroot on Tuesday, and again, Steve Hackney was 81 years old. I just think that people like that are the glue of the athletic departments around college sports, and I think if you want to hear great stories about just the inner workings. I always try to reach out to guys that were trainers or equipment guys when I'm writing like bios or like stories that are summing up people's careers. Because like, guess who sees? Like, if you're a football player, you probably see the trainer every single day. You see the equipment guy every day for sure. Because you got to get your loop. You got to get your stuff. So a lot of times those guys have great insight into personalities and stories and all that sort of stuff. So certainly appreciate anybody that works in those roles. I think they're important. I think it's certainly worth acknowledging. Nuanez Now 1029 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. One more time, if you can't help out with Kyle Whitaker's wife after she had a terrible accident, Montana State Rodeo coach, you could go to our Instagram and go check out the GoFundMe that we posted on there earlier today. Take a break, come back, talk some NBA on the other side. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. It's ESPN Radio.
Les Schwab changed the tire game more than 70 years ago. Today, we still believe you should get more from less. Like more hustle, less hassle. More of the best service around, less of the runaround. Because we include America's best tire warranty in every tire we sell. So you get more unbeatable warranty, less charging you extra. It's why we're more than proud to say, you get more from less.
What do you expect me to say to her? She's getting married in 30 minutes.
We're doing everything we can.
John, can you hear me? John.
Mountain Town Vacation Rental Management, your local partner for vacation rental success. We provide a fully customized hosting experience tailored to your needs and goals. Your home is listed on every major site, helping you maximize visibility and bookings. And our local team is available 24/7 to handle guest needs and booking inquiries. Let us take the stress out of managing your vacation home. Contact us today at mountaintownvrm.com or give us a call at 406-369-3080.
Human Services.
This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
Welcome back. 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio. Grizzly Disposal has one bin recycling, and they can pick it up for you at your house a couple times a month. Cardboard, plastic, cans, all that stuff. Don't haul it around on your back of your car. Just let Grizzly Disposal do it for you. You want to add the service or make the switch, or both, visit GrizzlyDisposal.com or call 406-541-7171. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned, veteran-owned, and the only Bears that should be in your garbage. It's a Wednesday. That means it's a Wing It Wednesday here on Nuanez Now, probably presented by the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill. Need a place to watch the NBA playoffs. Can't think anywhere better than the Despo. Despo has delicious wings. It's also, I mean, this is like, I know that, like, it's interesting the way that it's all evolved, but this is like sports bar season to me. Just because if you really like the NBA and the NHL, there's always going to be games on, and there's going to be multiple games on. And I know you can flip back and forth at your house or whatever, but it's way easier to just be at a place where they're on two different TVs. You can just monitor both the games that you want to be watching, and it's just a fun experience. So I can't think of anything better than having a dozen wings from the Desperado and ice cold beer and some NBA and some NHL right on in front of me. If you haven't been watching the NBA playoffs, you need to. It's been awesome so far. And I think now we got I think that the Thunder are going to kill the Lakers. And I don't think that's low-hanging fruit. I don't think that's some sort of revelation. I think that the Thunder are going to dispatch of the Lakers probably by 15 to 20 points every single game, maybe one, maybe game 3 in L.A. L.A. puts a fight up or maybe even wins. But I do not expect that series to go more than 5 games. And I think the Thunder will probably roll in pretty much every one of those games. The other series, all could be coin flips, in my opinion. I know the Knicks destroyed the 76ers in Game 1, and the Knicks are really, really good at home. They're 10.5-point favorites tonight, but I just think that the Sixers don't really have much depth. But if Embiid is really healthy, or even sort of healthy and can contribute at an elite level, and then you talk about surrounding him with 4 other guys like Tyrese Maxey and Paul George and VJ Edgecombe, that's a pretty dang good top 4. Now, it kind of falls off because then you got, it's Kelly Oubre and a couple other guys that they don't have a ton of depth. But I do think Edgecombe's emergence, Embiid's abilities when he's at the peak of his powers or even close to the peak of his powers, I think 76ers can be competitive. I do think the Knicks will win that series, but I think it's going to be a fun one. I think tonight's game, I can see tonight's game going either way. I think that 76ers can push them all the way down the wire, or I think they get blown out, but then they swing back when they go back to Philadelphia. The nightcap tonight, Timberwolves versus Spurs. Minnesota stole Game 1, so they have a 1-0 lead. San Antonio looked a little bit shell-shocked. Victor Wembanyama was a revelation defensively, but he was pretty up and down, pretty clunky offensively. He only scored 8 points. That's coming from a guy who averaged 25 points per game during the regular season. Anthony Edwards is playing on one leg. It doesn't matter. He was giving it to the Spurs in Game 1. So can Minnesota somehow steal another one? But either way, I mean, it's already an even series because the T-Wolves stole Game 1. So I think that's a series that could go 6 or 7 games. I think that's a total coin flip. I know the Spurs won 62 games. The T-Wolves only won 49 games. But the T-Wolves aren't scared of anybody. And San Antonio, they're so good. They're so talented, but they're so young. So are they ready yet? I expect that to be a really, really fun series. And we'll see if San Antonio can answer the bell tonight or if the T-Wolves can somehow bring a 2-0 lead back to Minnesota. In the other Eastern Conference series, Cavs-Pistons, I don't even know what to think of that game, or that series. The Cavs, I thought, should have rolled the Raptors. They didn't. It took 7 games. They sort of just played with their food for half the series. So I don't know if that's harbinger of bad things. But then I also think they're pretty talented, especially if Donovan Mitchell plays like he can. Sometimes he's been so inconsistent, so that's a weird spot to be in. The Pistons are very much like the Spurs to me, not in style, but just in the narrative around their team. They've never been here before, like this group has not. They made the playoffs last year. That's a whole different ballgame than being a 60-win team that's the number 1 seed in the entire conference. Cade Cunningham can be transcendent. He's an unbelievable talent, but he turns the ball over at a high rate sometimes, and he did in round 1, and that's why Orlando pushed Detroit all the way down the wire before Detroit then killed them in Game 7 and sort of slammed the door on that series and on any upset bid. But I don't think you want to – I mean, you definitely don't want to go to Game 7 if you're the number 1 seed against an overmatched Orlando team, but the Pistons let that happen. So then how much carryover is there in that? I thought Detroit looked good in Game 1. They looked more locked in. But I think that's a total coin flip series. I could see it going either way. I don't know how tomorrow night's Game 2 is going to go. Detroit's only 3.5-point favorites. Cleveland comes in certainly with plenty to prove. But I could see both the Eastern Conference series going either way, and then depending on which matchup gets to the Eastern Conference Finals, I don't know. I couldn't really say it. With Boston out, I don't know if there's a definitive favorite in the East. You'd have to say that it's the Pistons, but is it? Or is it the Knicks? Or does Joel Embiid, pull the Undertaker and, sit straight up in the coffin and here he is, he's back. He's, one of the best players in the NBA. I don't know. And what about Cleveland? Can they sort of rewrite the narrative around their team? Like it's been sort of that Spider Mitchell can go off sometimes, but also that he can fade sometimes. And I mean, he's had some unbelievable playoff games, playoff runs. He's also had some no-shows. So he's got a lot to prove himself as well. And then, of course, as I mentioned, I think the Lakers-Thunder series, that's the other game tomorrow night. I think that one's just, I don't know. I mean, the Thunder are 15.5-point favorites, and I think they'll cover that at home. So that's a little bit of a less exciting series. I think that the Thunder will just roll in that series. And I think they're probably going to just roll through the playoffs, but who knows? I mean, I think the Minnesota or San Antonio might be able to challenge OKC. They'll certainly challenge them more than Phoenix did, or that LA is going to. But I think that's the one series that maybe doesn't have nearly the intrigue of the other three series. Wing Wednesday, probably presented by the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill. Grizz softball season on life support now. They've won 2 loser-out games, 3 total games at the Big Sky Conference tournament, but they are backs against the wall, down 6-2 in the bottom of the 4th, and Sac State continues to rally. Sac State hitter just got hit by a pitch, which then walked in a run because the bases are loaded right now. So Grizz got to stop the bleeding, down 6-2 with 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th. We'll see if the Grizz can keep hitting like they have been all tournament long. But they're gonna have to rally after falling behind here in an elimination game to Sacramento State. Well, it's now 129 ESPN Radio. Keep those texts coming in for Wings, courtesy of the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill, 406-888-1029. Let us know you want wings. Also, let us know what you want us to talk about. 406-888-1029. Text us right now if you want wings at the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill. Wing Wednesday, every Wednesday here on 129 ESPN Radio. Take a break, come back. Matt Brown, the Extra Points newsletter. What does he think of the unbelievably always evolving wide world of college sports and all the different things that have been in the news as of late? That's next. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. It's 129 ESPN Radio.
Life can change in an instant. If you've been hurt in an accident, suffered from medical negligence, or are facing criminal charges, you don't have to face it alone. At Ryan Miller & Coburn, we're here to listen and fight for you. We're your neighbors, traveling across Montana to stand by your side as your link to justice. Real people, real help, right here in Montana. Ryan Miller & Coburn, your Montana attorneys.
DeMorris Buick GMC is ready to help you safely travel Montana's scenic roads in comfort and style. Stop by DeMorris today and test drive some outstanding SUVs. Right now, take advantage of closeout pricing on the exceptionally designed 2024 Buick Envision with models starting at $39,795. Don't miss this opportunity. Go to DeMorris.com to preview our inventory of 2024 Buick Envisions and then pay a visit to DeMorris Buick GMC on West Broadway in Missoula, your family-owned hometown dealership for over 60 years.
Life's about the journey, not the destination, right? Why can't it be about both?
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
The bats came alive once again for the Montana softball team as the Grizz extended their season at the Big Sky Tournament on Wednesday. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. Monday, the Grizz ripped 6 home runs to defeat Weber State 8-3 in the first round, following a 10-1 loss to Idaho State that pushed Montana's season to the brink. UM then bounced back by wrapping out 10 hits to defeat Portland State 9-3 on Tuesday. And on Wednesday, the Grizz kept ripping. Jessica Churms went 4 for 4. JoJo Christensen added 3 more hits, including a home run and a double, and Montana extended its season once again with an 11-7 win over Northern Colorado. Grizz ripped 16 hits all told, dropping 4 runs on the Bears in the top of the 3rd inning, and another 5 runs on UNC in the top of the 5th inning to advance. Montana has pounded out 40 base hits so far in Pocatello, Idaho, as the Grizz chase their first ever Big Sky Tournament title. Grizz softball will take on Sacramento State at 3:30 p.m. today. For the 4th time this outdoor season, Montana State thrower Sydney Brewster earned Big Sky Conference Outdoor Field Athlete of the Week honors. Brewster uncorked a throw of 168 feet 6 inches at the Bengal Invite at Pocatello, Idaho over the weekend to set the Montana State school record. She also threw the shot put 56 feet 1/2 inch, her second best mark of the year. She has set the program records in both the shot put and the discus so far this spring.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
Welcome back. 129 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned, veteran-owned. The only bears that should be in your garbage. If you missed anything, in the first hour of the show, you can always find it on the Nuanez Now podcast. Samuel and Kim inside the FCS. We actually talked about just college football in general today. We also talked some Grizz softball, which, by the way, Grizz season sort of hanging in the brink. Down 6-2, top of the 5th, but the Grizz are at bat. So we'll see if they can rally back against Sac State. If they lose, the season's over, but it's been a good run. I mean, it was much improvement in year 2 under Steph Ewing. So we talked a little bit about that, talked a little bit about a couple pieces of bad news. You can review those if you listen to the podcast. Also gave you some wings for the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill, and talk some NBA. All of it on the Nuanez Now podcast. Please rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. Time now for our ESPN Roundtable. It's probably presented by Stockman Bank of Montana. Stockman Bank in Montana, only in Montana, and they plan on keeping it that way. Stockman Bank, Montana's brand of banking. Time for our ESPN Roundtable, and we try to check in a couple times a year, maybe quarterly, with our good friend Matt Brown from the Extra Point newsletter to talk all things college sports. And so that's what we're doing here today. Good to see you, Matt. How's it going?
Hey, it's great to be here. This is, it's funny. I feel like I'm the kind of person that typically gets booked more in the off season. I'm an off season kind of publication, and there's quite a bit to talk about. Happy to be here.
Well, there certainly is. First of all, I got to tell people just about some of the stuff you guys got going on at Extra Points, because you guys have continued to evolve, continued to grow, and continued to implement some pretty cool stuff. So just give us the latest and the greatest.
Sure. Extra Points is a publication that comes out 4 days a week and covers business, policy, finance, and off-the-field stories that shape the college sports industry. We also have launched some curriculum products meant to help support sports management classes throughout the country, and we have dozens of schools using that. And we have a database of athletic department budgets and contracts and vendor deals that's also used from huge schools to small schools to newsrooms to consultancies. If I have to file thousands of FOIAs to do my actual reporting work, figured you might as well make that available to other people too, and help some schools save some money. So we're involved in a bunch of different levels on trying to make better policy in college sports.
Well, so there's been a ton of crazy moving parts, so plenty to report on. As of today, the AFCA, the American Football Coaches Association, was talking about a whole bunch of potential changes in college football, including potentially moving to a 24-team playoff. That's on the heels of the NCAA tournament expanding to 76 teams. I think that there's, as with everything, pros and cons here, but what do you think of just sort of this constant desire and even forcing of expansion, especially when it comes to some of these tournaments that we hold so dear?
Yeah, I'm, I think, unique among a lot of national reporters in that I don't really care that much that the NCAA basketball tournament is expanding. I understand that there's a lot of negative feelings about this, but Division I itself has grown quite a bit since the mid-'80s when the 64-team bracket was announced. I don't think the world ended or the regular season was permanently altered with adding the first four in Dayton. If anything, that was kind of is still kind of a cool event for people in Ohio. So I don't know that adding a couple more teams is the end of the world, for basketball anyway. I do share the concern that if we are adding those games using the same net that's currently structured right now, the whole thing just becomes kind of a handout to lousy P4 teams, rather than really expanding opportunity to deserving A10 or Missouri Valley or Big Sky kind of institutions. And I understand that kind of frustration. For football, it's different. I don't want to be mean or rude, but I don't get why anybody cares what the AFCA thinks. The football coaches are not the ones that created conference championship games. They're not the ones that have to care about balancing a budget or paying for any other sports. And of course, coaches are going to come out with a proposal that's going to make it easier for them to hit their contract incentives and sign longer-term deals. That's cool. It's fine to ask their opinion, but this isn't a decision that should be made by people that are going to be looking for another job in 3 years. How we structure the college football playoff or championship games or anything else should be made with a more holistic and long-term view in mind. That's not generally how I think about football coaches.
Seems like if this were to happen, if the college football playoff does go to 24 teams, if there's going to be any sort of equity or any sort of all-inclusiveness, if you're going to have auto bids for all the conferences, that just seems like something that the Power Four is not going to want, I don't think, right? So then my question is, what if the scenario is that this is just 6 teams from 4 conferences that make up the 24-team field? Is that a worry if this does come to fruition?
I mean, is it a worry among anybody in the SEC or the Big Ten? I'm sure it isn't, right?
Right.
Part of the reason that you'd want to expand is to continue to let the most wealthy conferences have even more championship access. That's part of what a lot of the fights about the future of college sports have been about. It would surprise me if we expanded and removed access to the G5 or the G6 or anyone else. You can't completely make it a pure invitational, or else you're going to get some more antitrust lawsuits, which the SEC and the Big Ten are trying to avoid. They enjoy being able to make the Mountain West and the Pac-12 and the MAC help pay for their legal bills. Completely shutting them out isn't going to help that or anything. But yeah, if we're going to move to any significantly larger playoff system, I have to imagine it's not going to look like what we have in FCS, where some leagues that are pretty bad and are closer to Division II have automatic bids. I would be preparing people for a world where we have 6 or 7, if not more, SEC teams in it.
Matt Brown, Extra Points newsletter here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Is our ESPN Roundtable, probably presented by Stockman Bank of Montana. What about the eligibility stuff that's been going around? I know that President Trump has talked about it. I know the president of the NCAA, Charlie Baker, has talked about it as well. There's a lot of different moving parts, but basically the main thought here is sort of reeling in a lot of these almost endless eligibilities by just making it either like a 5 for 5 year, five seasons and 5 years period, no matter what happens. Give us some of the ins and outs, because I know you've done some reporting on this, and I know that you had a full newsletter about it. So what sort of details did you find that maybe interested you, and what sort of impact could some of these sort of moves have on the landscape of college sports?
There's broad support for this rule. There are a few sports where I think there are more unintended consequences than others. The place where I've heard the most pushback, or at least ask for clarification, is with college hockey, where players often enter the collegiate system a little bit older. They're coming in from Canada. It doesn't follow this exact same high school development cycle that football and basketball and baseball to some extent follow. But there is a lot of support for it. Some of the big operational questions are going to be when you turn this on, and how does that impact athletes that are currently in school right now? Are you grandfathering anybody in? If somebody is a senior now, do they not get an extra year and it starts up for the people behind them? And if that's how you do it, how do you not have even more lawsuits protecting those people? I don't envy anybody trying to build a roster or trying to figure this out right now, not knowing how much longer of eligibility you're going to have from some of your upperclassmen. The other question that I am still trying to report out and better understand are is there going to be any kind of waiver, or just a much smaller number of waivers in this world? And what I've heard from a few other national reporters and a few school leaders is there would still potentially be 3 waivers to the 5 and 5 rule. The devil's still in the details. I've heard exceptions for athletes whose athletic career is interrupted by military service, or people that went to the military immediately after high school and then wanted to come back. People whose athletic career is interrupted due to childbirth and like maternity leave, and religious mission trips. Most predominantly, those are in the LDS community, where you have some schools like BYU or Utah State, where 45% or more of their athletes across all sports might be returned missionaries. Even in the Montanas, that number is not 0. I think that moving to this system would simplify recruiting a lot. It would remove some of the ammunition for the 7th and 8th and 9th year lawsuits, but I don't think anything's going to make all of the problems go away absent federal legislation, which I don't think we're any closer to getting.
There's also been some talk about the House settlement and revenue sharing, and maybe how that. I mean, a lot of schools have opted into the House settlement, but now there's maybe going to be some changes around it as well. Have you followed this much, and what do you think of sort of where we're at with that sort of evolution of NIL and the implementation of revenue sharing in D1 sports?
What I would say here is maybe something I shouldn't admit as a reporter that covers this stuff for a living, but the honest to God truth is that I'm not paying a ton of super close attention to the reforms around the House settlement and CSC regulations, because I don't think practically any of them exist right now, right? The idea of changing a collective bargaining agreement or changing how a salary cap is calculated will be major news in pro sports, but those things have enforcement capabilities. If you circumvent the NBA salary cap and you get caught, you lose draft picks. You get huge fines, and this has happened before, right? Like, look up Joe Smith and the Minnesota Timberwolves. It's a big penalty, and there's what we saw with Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers is rare because of that. In college sports, we have a salary cap, right? 20.5 last year. I think it's like 21.2, 21.4-ish for this coming year. But nobody in the Power Four, nobody is following that. Every single one of those teams is going to have spending on athlete payroll across all of their sports in excess of $21 million. For the highest level in college football, you're going to have spending in the high 30s. At the highest level in college basketball. For basketball alone, you're only paying 10 guys. That's going to be more than the 20 million unit. So I get the same press releases and I see the same stories about, okay, well, we're going to have this lawsuit to see whether the money that comes in from your Learfield or Playfly or MMR partner counts, or we're going to make this kind of change or whatever. I just don't care. And like, I understand intellectually that it's important, but until somebody is disciplined for breaking the cap and that discipline holds up in court, I think all of this is just playing pretend. There is a salary cap on paper, but if you're in it to win it and you want to compete for a national title in men's and women's basketball or football, you have to ignore it. And that's what almost everybody else is doing right now.
Well, it seems like there's a slippery slope there, too, because it seems like if and when this actually is enforced, if that reality ever comes to fruition, that then it's going to, the side effects are going to be like a collective bargaining agreement or some sort of thing that has to happen, an agreement. Like basically, as soon as there's a salary cap that's enforced, then there has to be some sort of status for the people that are under the salary cap, right? They essentially have to become an employee. And then that's going to make this into a whole different sort of mess. Like that's what I'm so interested in is where is this heading? And if it is heading toward like employee status for student athletes, what will that do to then the opinions and the love that people have for college sports, specifically college football and college basketball?
So what I would say is that there's really three ways all of this could end with the CSC. Door number one is the federal government, Congress, and the president sign a bill that says these are the regulations. You're not employees. The NCAA can make the rules, or the federal government makes the rules, and here's the salary cap, and here's how athlete compensation works. And even if that happens, there'll probably still be lawsuits, and it might go to the Supreme Court at some level. But that is the purview. The federal government has the ability to unilaterally do something like that. The NCAA has been asking for that, essentially for that permission for years. And Congress has not given it to them. Not when they've had unified Democratic control, not when there's been split government, and not when there's been unified Republican control, like right now. So that could still potentially happen someday. Very unlikely to happen this year. Door number one. Door number two is you have collective bargaining and employee status, like you have with professional football and basketball and soccer and everything else. This is not legal right now. Despite what you might read on twitter.com, the only way that you can have a collective bargaining is with a union or with an entity that has organized the athletes and has the statutory protection from antitrust that comes with collective bargaining. And you don't have that if you have a unit of athletes that are not employees. That hasn't happened yet. That could happen from court cases. It could happen from Congress. It could happen somewhere else. We're not close. And for that matter, college athletes aren't organizing en masse right now, pushing for that. It's coming from management. It's coming from ADs that are asking for collective bargaining, not the athletes. That's door number two. Door number three is you change the federal law and allow collective bargaining without employee status and say, all right, you have employees, non-employees, and a special third magic group called college athletes. And they have some things in common with employees and some things that are not in common, and here's what they can bargain about. And that's uncommon, but that distinction does exist for other kinds of jobs. Different states have rules about like what you can and can't bargain over, whether you're an employee or not. But there's no momentum for that in Congress. I think that is more likely if we have Democratic control than Republican control. So there's three ways this can end. We're not really down the road for any of them. So without that, we have what we have now, which are pretend rules, which we have to say with a straight face in front of cameras that exist, and ADs will say that they're serious about following them, and then nobody follows them. And if someone tries to enforce them, there's a lawsuit, and you usually lose. It's very complicated.
Do you find it interesting that there has been so many moving parts, but that this hasn't really impacted the popularity of these sports? I mean, they're like as popular as they've ever been. It's a strange thing, because I think it depends on how we measure popularity. Sure, right.
If we look at popularity just from ticket sales and TV ratings, I agree. This is near as popular as it's ever been. The quality of the play in football and college basketball, I think, at large, has been very, very high. I would argue that some of the ratings discourse is influenced because of Nielsen's changed how they calculate ratings, so everything's gone up. And legalized gambling has made a lot of people that normally wouldn't care about college sports watch it on TV. That's been happening. I think, And this is what I hear from coaches and anecdotally from so many fans, is the fan checking out is a lagging indicator. We won't see it immediately in year 1 and 2. We'll see it more in year 8 or 9. And I think especially in markets like where you are, because the canary in the coal mine is not Indiana or Ohio State or Alabama or Texas. I think it's Montana. When those fans look at all of the gigantic changes that are happening and realize either A, we're competing for a championship that doesn't mean anything anymore because there's only 8 schools left in FCS that look like us, or B, we can't compete for anything anymore because the shared DNA that we used to have with Cal and Stanford and Texas and Ohio State doesn't exist. And I think that could happen. And then eventually we would notice it at the highest levels, but not before it's too late.
Matt Brown, Extra Points newsletter, joining us here on Nuanez Now. It's our ESPN Roundtable, probably presented by Stockman Bank of Montana. Stockman Bank in Montana, only in Montana, and they plan on keeping it that way. Let Stockman Bank show you Montana's brand of banking. That's such an interesting part of this too, right? Is there's so many things that make football particularly so popular in the state of Montana, but part of it is how many local kids play for the Grizz and the Cats. And that's been a huge part of the conversation when there's been thoughts or maybe projections of the schools moving up. Like, will that be less opportunity for guys from small town Montana to play Division I football? Like, could those guys play at the Mountain West level or the FBS level? Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting part of it. But also we've seen that the Montana schools are a little bit more insulated when it comes to having their players picked off by bigger schools, because the guys in Montana that are from Montana, they want to stay because it means so much to them, right? Like they're a lot of the guys are playing at their dream schools, so they might turn down Oregon or Washington or whomever that comes to the table with a big check and say, no, I always wanted to be a Bobcat. I always wanted to be a Grizz. So I wonder if that also impacts the sustainability of them going forward as well, right? Like I wonder, I can see a future where like the group of 5, the MAC, the Conference USAs of the world, the Sun Belts, where almost all their best players are just getting funneled to the Power 4. I just wonder if like the last bastion of hope for like the retention of this are at the rural schools like the Montana States and the South Dakota States, where you do have in-state guys that choose to stay and play for something more than just money and the prestige of the FBS.
So I definitely think there's something to that. And I've heard similar things from the Dakota kind of institutions. There's 2 potential, I think, hiccups, right? Because you're right. If you grew up outside of Billings and your dad played for the Grizz and your choices are to play at Montana or make a little bit more money and play at Utah State, I can understand why a lot of people would say, screw that. I'd rather be a legend at home and never have to buy a beer again if we kick Montana State's ass, rather than being a forgotten guy in the Pac-12 and go play buy a game at Michigan State or something, right? Part of the challenge that I've heard from not just fans of both of the schools in this market, but from the Big Sky and from even people in the FBS, is part of the reason that those kids in 8th grade and in 10th grade care so much about the Cats or the Grizz is because you can win a meaningful national championship with both those programs. Montana State just did. And you are going to be, when you go through the playoffs, you're going to be competing against programs that care just as much as you and are similarly resourced to you and have similar histories to you. I don't think I'm speaking out of line as a dumb Midwesterner if I suggest that maybe Montana fans don't care as much about beating Northern Arizona or some random California team.
No doubt.
Heaven forbid somebody in the OVC or the UACA Sun the same way that they do about kicking someone's butt and kicking Idaho or somebody in the historical Big Sky or Dakota for that matter. And we're in a world now where just the past couple of years we've lost App State, we've lost James Madison, we've lost North Dakota State, we lost Delaware. We've lost a lot of the national programs that would be considered peers to the 2 Montanas. There's still some, but in a world where other schools across the country cut back on their resources or change, will the high school kids have that same attachment to the Montanas, knowing that their semifinal opponent might be Southeastern Louisiana or Merrimack or East Texas A&M? I don't know, or somebody where it means nothing. because the FCS means something different. I don't think I'm speaking. I think I speak for a lot of people here to suggest that Montana probably has more in common with Nevada and Wyoming and New Mexico than it does with over half of FCS. I suspect that gap is going to widen in the near future. And I don't know where the breaking point is, or I don't want to suggest where it should be. That's up to you guys, not me. But I think that's a real concern, independent of the portal and NIL and everything else, you know?
And then I wonder if the thing that keeps it popular, and then the thing that keeps people interested in it is just the existence of each other, the existence of Montana and Montana State in the same conference and the same subdivision, right? Because, I mean, truly, last year, the Cats played Oregon and South Dakota State, which were real opponents, and then they basically rolled everybody else that they played. But they got to play the Grizz twice in the span of a month. And on the other side of it, the Grizz, they beat everybody on their schedule, and most of those teams weren't very good, and the gap is wide between those teams. But they lost to the Cats twice, and so that's the only thing that matters. Like, that's the only thing that matters to the fan base.
Brains, yeah, on a fundamental level, right? It's partially responsible for a coaching change and lots.
Totally.
Right? Like, you have a good point. I've had senior athletic staffers at both schools tell me, like, and I don't know if this has been laid out explicitly in print or not, but I've had high up people at both schools say, like, we are tied together. We're not going to let something happen where one school joins the AFC North and the other one's in the FCS, or one's going to join the Big Ten and one's like, no, we are going to keep playing each other, and we are our entire athletic departments are enriched by that rivalry. But you also know this even better than I do. Very few other FCS rivalries are anywhere close to as intense as Cats Grizz. If people in the Southland, not to diminish them, or people in the NEC had a rivalry or hate that strong, they would be thrilled. It would mean that now they have a new thing to sell sponsorships for. Now they don't have to worry about ticket sales the same way. They're fighting apathy. Apathy is not the immediate concern, I think, in this market, but that makes them unique.
It certainly does, no doubt about it. We could go on and on about this part of the conversation for quite some time, but I wanted to ask you about two more things. You mentioned Learfield just in passing there, but that sale recently was interesting because on one hand, you're sitting here and thinking, wow, okay, private equity getting into Learfield, what does it all mean? But then you really described it well in your newsletter, talking about how, well, let's be honest, like private equity has sort of existed in that space already, right?
Yep.
What do you think the transition means for Learfield in general, and also like the schools that Learfield represents?
Sure, and just in case for the folks here that are listening that may not be familiar, Learfield is one of the what we call MMR companies, multimedia rights companies that help schools sell their sponsorship assets. Could be the radio rights, could be billboards around the stadium, sponsorships in the stadium, and at the mid-major level, this is very, very meaningful revenue. It might be a bigger check than you get from television. It might be a bigger check than you make from any other single thing over the course of a year. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars across the Big Sky, Mountain West, WAC-ish kind of institutions. But Learfield has been owned and controlled on some level by private equity for, I think, 15 years. This is just a private equity sale to private equity sale. And what you're seeing in the high finance world is a lot of institutional money wants to be invested in college sports. A lot of it wants to move into sports in general. It's flying into the NFL and the NBA. And you can't buy a college team, which is hard to do because most of them are owned by the state, or a private university that's not wanting to liquidate them. The next best thing you could do is buy a chunk of those earnings. And you can do that by getting involved with Learfield or Playfly or Van Wagner or something. And I suspect that there'll be other interests in other major technology or service providers that are in the college sports industry, whether that's in travel or licensing or physical products or ticketing or anything else. I'm not worried about this immediately from a consumer perspective, but I think how Learfield itself evolves after taking on a lot of debt the last 10 years will be a very interesting college sports business story.
It certainly is going to be really interesting to follow in the way that it affects a lot of the departments that are part of the Learfield umbrella, no doubt. Last thing for you, speaking of private equity, the Big 12 also has sort of hitched its wagon to private equity as well. First conference to get a private equity deal. So what do you think this means for just the landscape of the Power Four and the Big 12 specifically?
I don't think it changes that much, honestly, right? The conference office is getting $12.5 billion. I'm very interested in what they're going to do with that. Are they going to buy some companies? Are they going to buy minority stakes? Are they going to create new IP, take some risks? I don't know. But that is fascinating because that's enough to be useful, but not enough to like catapult them ahead of the Big Ten financially. What you're seeing on the school side is that everybody has the option to take up to $30 million in financing, and not very many schools are interested in it. As of this recording, I believe UCF, West Virginia, and Houston have been in public and said, we're not taking the money. I've had people at BYU tell me privately they're not taking the money, and the kind of over-under on Big 12 schools that I think will accept this financing, it's going to be around 3. And they may have good reasons for that, but there's also good reasons why a lot of schools aren't taking it. If you need $20 million, $25 million, $30 million for some kind of capital project, build some new luxury boxes, hire a new sales team, any of those things. Most public institutions can raise that money or borrow that money cheaper than going to private capital, whether that's selling a bond, whether that's tapping into the general university's budget, whether that's a taxpayer appropriation or borrowing from a local bank. The interest rate and the cost of the money from Redbird is going to be more expensive than it's going to be at First National Bank of Somewheresville, Montana, or a municipal bond or something. So I don't look. It's interesting insofar as it shows private capital wants to be involved in the space. I don't think it's a game-changing announcement in college sports generally.
Matt Brown, Extra Points newsletter here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Matt, good checking in, man, and keep up the great work. It's always interesting reading all your stuff. We thank you so much for all the stuff that you help inform us on, but also for being here today.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
ESPN Roundtable, probably presented by Stockman Bank of Montana. Stockman Bank has more than 40 locations in Montana. They're in Montana, only in Montana, and they plan on keeping it that way. Let Stockman Bank show you Montana's brand of banking. Take a break. Continue our recruiting coverage. The in-state recruiting battle continues rolling. We'll hear from a Grizz commit. That's next. Keep it right here. Jack Ryan, Billings West. On the other side, Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio.
What do you expect me to say to her? She's getting married in 30 minutes.
We're doing everything we can.
John, can you hear me? John.
At Shields, we're anglers, endlessly seeking and refining techniques. We're hunters and storytellers, because we've been out there. We're experts that put products and gear to the test, so we can share that knowledge with you. At Shields, we understand your outdoor journey and the path you're on, because we walk it too, every step of the way. Shields, right there with you.
Mountain Town Vacation Rental Management, your local partner for vacation rental success. We provide a fully customized hosting experience tailored to your needs and goals. Your home is listed on every major site, helping you maximize visibility and bookings. And our local team is available 24/7 to handle guest needs and booking inquiries. Let us take the stress out of managing your vacation home. Contact us today at mountaintownvrm.com or give us a call at 406-369-3080.
The rare moments in life, they're not just few and far between. They're meant to be treasured.
Bring the whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair, restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
The Bats came alive once again for the Montana softball team as the Grizz extended their season at the Big Sky Tournament on Wednesday. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. Monday, the Grizz ripped 6 home runs to defeat Weber State 8-3 in the first round, following a 10-1 loss to Idaho State that pushed Montana's season to the brink. UM then bounced back by wrapping out 10 hits to defeat Portland State 9-3 on Tuesday. And on Wednesday, the Grizz kept ripping. Jessica Churms went 4 for 4. JoJo Christensen added 3 more hits, including a home run and a double, and Montana extended its season once again with an 11-7 win over Northern Colorado. Grizz ripped 16 hits all told, dropping 4 runs on the Bears in the top of the 3rd inning, and another 5 runs on UNC in the top of the 5th inning to advance. Montana has pounded out 40 base hits so far in Pocatello, Idaho, as the Grizz chase their first ever Big Sky Tournament title. Grizz softball will take on Sacramento State at 3:30 p.m. today. For the 4th time this outdoor season, Montana State thrower Sidney Brewster earned Big Sky Conference Outdoor Field Athlete of the Week honors. Brewster uncorked a throw of 168 feet 6 inches at the Bengal Invite in Pocatello, Idaho over the weekend to set the Montana State school record. She also threw the shot put 56 feet 1/2 inch, her second best mark of the year. She has set the program records in both the shot put and the discus so far this spring.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
How crazy is it to think that Bob Dylan, for all the songs that he wrote, all the epic poetry that he instilled into the music world, he never had a number 1 hit? It's wild. That song, along with Tangled Up in Blue, The Hurricane, they all were number 2, but never number 1. Bruce Springsteen never wrote a number 1 hit either. How crazy is that? Those guys like the 2 most prolific songs. I mean, I think it says a lot about pop music and the way the charts are crafted. And they've certainly written, literally over 100 hit songs. And, like Bruce Springsteen, for example, Dancing in the Dark peaked at number 2. It was number 2 for like 3 months. Number 1 was rotating between Prince and Michael Jackson. So it's just a bad year to have your biggest hit. So, I don't know. Maybe it actually says a lot about pop music, et cetera, but other legendary artists without a number 1, Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, The Who, Queen, Nirvana, The Clash, AC/DC, Tom Petty. It's just interesting. I'm reading this. I just started this great book. It's called The Number Ones. It's by this guy. He has this blog, and he basically writes this one installment a week all about every number 1 hit in the history of music. In terms of the history of the Billboard Hot 100, which started in 1957. And then he basically took that and turned it into a book about like the 20 like game-changing hits, like the hits that changed music, whether it was, I Want to Hold Your Hand by the Beatles or Billie Jean by Michael Jackson. And it's like where that took pop culture. It's a really interesting book. I can't wait to delve more into it. Well, it's now tonight, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Grizz softball season officially on life support. Not over yet, though. It's the top of the 7th. They're down 10-3 to Sac State. They are at the dish, 1 out, 1 runner on. So we'll see if they can rally back. It's been a weird game for the Grizz because, the Grizz have 11 hits, and yet they're losing by 7 runs because they've left 9 players on base. They've also given up 8 free bases, 6 walks, and 2 hit by pitches. They had a hit by pitch. They hit a batter, a Sac State batter, with the bases loaded. So that's sort of the spot that they've pinned themselves in. So that's sort of a bummer way for it to end, if it does end like this. But we'll see if we can get a final for you here before this matchup is all said and done. Speaking of the Grizz, how about some Grizz football? Our recruiting coverage continues here on Nuanez Now. Nuanez Now on tonight, ESPN Radio. Our recruiting coverage continues. We're checking in on both sides of the rivalry. Go down to the Grizz and check in with Jack Ryan, a junior who's a senior to be there for the Billings West Golden Bears, recently committed to the University of Montana. Jack, thanks for being here, man. How's it going?
Thank you for having me.
First of all, just take us through your recruiting process. I know that this is sort of the time of year a lot of times that the best juniors, especially in state, are getting recruited. But it seems like there's been an elevated priority on both sides of the rivalry. I know you got some Grizz ties. We'll get to some of those, but just take us through these last couple of months for you and just Montana recruiting you and everything that's got into it so far.
Yeah, no, for sure. They talked to me a little bit it was probably around December. But, it was nothing crazy, just some short little back and forth stuff. And then they reached out for a junior day around, I think it was the end of February. So I was able to get up on campus at it was end of March there. But yeah, no, everything was pretty slow for me. I'm a really, really undersized kind of defensive player. I did have an offer my first was from Montana Tech, and then I got one from UMary. But it was a pretty quick decision for me with Montana. It was kind of my dream school. Like you said, having my uncles go through the program, I knew that's where I wanted to be. So,
well, you mentioned, but several Ryans have played over the years for the University of Montana. So Kyle, he's like a grade older than I am. So he played mid-2000s, great linebacker. Casey also played for the Grizz as well. How much do you remember? Were you old enough? Probably not old enough to remember watching those guys.
Yeah, right? No, I was barely even born yet. So,
but they're probably been watching them around you since you've been growing up, right? So just tell me about sort of your introduction to Grizz football. When did you start following them? When did you start liking them?
I've been going to games ever. I've got baby pictures. Year I was born, probably 4 or 5 months old, up there at Washington Stadium. But yeah, I've been going to games every single year. Got up for 2 last year. So we catch Cat Grizz, Ball the Wild, and then maybe Central Washington, I think it was. But yeah, no, I love it up there. It's just, I don't think there's a better atmosphere in the country to play football at the next level. But yeah, I've been going to games forever. So,
well, take us through just your impressions of this new coaching staff. Obviously, they're high on you. Came and gave you an offer. So, what has it been like just interacting with some of these guys? Who's been your primary recruiter so far?
For the most part, it was Coach Kennedy and Coach Sanders, defensive coordinator. I think they're both great guys, great leaders, both very, very experienced. Coach Kennedy being at Texas and Stanford, and then Coach Sanders bounced around the NFL and also at Stanford, building that tie with Kennedy. But yeah, great leaders. I think Sanders really, I really have a lot of faith in him. Really like him. But yeah, great guys, love them both. So.
Well, Coach Kennedy's obviously made a huge effort with the in-state guys. I got to ask you, what do you think of the graphics? Because I get a kick out of them. I think they're really fun. So what do you think of just the graphics that he's sending out to recruits?
I love them. Yeah, he'll probably send almost like one a day. And I mean, we got some other guys getting them here at West too, and we'll kind of show them off to each other. But I mean, they're awesome. We get a kick out of them.
Jack Ryan joining us here on ESPN Radio 102.9 FM, as well as SWX Montana Television. You can also find us on the Big Sky Breakdown podcast series as well, SkylineSportsMT.com. Jack's a recent commit to the University of Montana football program out of Billings West High School. You mentioned there's some other guys from Billings West getting recruited. I've been so impressed with the job that Rob Stanton has done. I mean, you guys, every year you got 2, 3, 4, 5 guys that are Division I caliber, and even sometimes guys that are going to the absolute highest level of college football, like Matt Ludwig did last year. So why do you think that is? Well, what about the West program has sort of helped you guys develop and become sort of D1 caliber and have so many guys that have gotten these opportunities?
I'd say it's our strength and conditioning program. You know, we take a lot of pride in our weight room, and I think the coaches that come through and recruit and watch the program, they'll come in. We invite them into our we kind of have like a lifting period for football specifically. So early morning and then first period, and we invite the coaches in to kind of talk to us then. And I think that really kind of sets a statement. Sends a message about what this program is about. And we're in there every morning. We get after it, and I mean I would imagine the coaches love seeing that. But yeah, we got Coach Johnson as our Coach Mark Johnson is our strength and conditioning coach, and he puts us through some good stuff, and we feel like we're getting better every morning. So we definitely pay our respects to him for that. But
having other guys that are talented but driven too and dedicated to it and wanting to get up every morning and do that kind of stuff, I mean, that probably helps too, right? Having a group of guys that are dedicated to a common goal, that probably helps drive you forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's great to have your team around, and we're always encouraging each other. We're always going from rack to rack, making sure everybody's getting pushed to their limits, and it's definitely a big motivator.
Well, tell me about what else you like about Montana. Obviously, the coaching staff's made a big impression on you, and you've loved them for all these years. But what about the school? I mean, do you have any thoughts on school or Missoula or anything like that? Were any of those other factors a draw to your commitment?
For school, I'm just going to study. I want to study business. Nothing too crazy. But as for Missoula, I've been in Missoula a lot of my life. It's kind of a second home to me. I love it around there. And then the program, I love the facilities. I don't think it doesn't get too much nicer than that. Up to date. All the guys are. That's the big thing here. We love the facilities up there. But yeah, Missoula's it's been a second home to me. So.
Well, having some family here probably helps you. What's your folks think? Your dad played college football too, right?
Yeah, my dad, he was a linebacker for Notre Dame.
Yeah, so Pat Wright is your dad. I was trying to put it all together because I know Kyle. Yeah. I was like, okay, I bet you I knew Kyle was related to Pat somehow. So makes sense. So what's your dad think? Obviously, he's played at a very high level as well, so he's probably proud of you.
Yeah, no, for sure. So Kyle and Casey were at the Grizz, but yeah, no, he's stoked. He kind of knew I wanted to stay out west. Kind of an outdoorsy guy, so staying up in the mountains. Love to fish, love to hunt, love all that stuff. But so he kind of saw it coming. I didn't really want to go to the Midwest or anything. Yeah, no, my dad's pumped about it though.
What's Montana projecting you as? Are they thinking of you linebacker?
Kind of like a nickel, more of a run fit safety type.
Yeah. But you sort of play that.
It's more of like a separate, like we'll do packages where our base position, right. And then I'll go in for like a nickel and like a maybe third down package. But yeah, I definitely feel like playing the run is my strong suit. I think they see that too.
It's been fun to watch that spot evolve, at the high school and the college level, because it used to just be like your third corner who would just be guarding the slot receiver sometimes, right? Yeah. But now there is so much responsibilities in the box, in the run fits, playing, in space, but also running the alley and stuff like that. So you mentioned it, but I mean, you think that's one of your strengths?
Yeah, definitely playing the run. Love playing downhill. I really like to hit whenever I can cause a turnover. I just feel like the closer I can be to the ball, the better off the team is. But at that position, there's a lot of responsibilities, but I love to do it all. Love to be in the box. Love to play some coverage. I really like that spot in the field. So.
Jack Ryan, Billings West, joining us here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Okay, last couple things for you. Then, what do you think of just your prospects for next year as a football team? Because West has high expectations every year. You guys have been knocking on the door of a state championship for a long time now. So, a lot of really talented guys back. So, what's sort of the mindset coming into your senior year?
I mean, I'm just I want to hit. I'm getting anxious. It's been too long off the field, but I know I've got a lot of guys coming back. Last year had a great defense. We'll be getting the majority of that back this year. We got Walker Olson and Lane Humphrey. Those two guys are awesome. Big free safety, big linebackers. But I know we're really excited. We're working hard. Got some younger guys coming up that'll really be a big factor, but we're just excited to get out there and compete. Obviously lost in the state championship last year and to Glacier, and we'll be starting up at Glacier this year, so it'll be a great opportunity for us. So,
does making your own college decision, does that sort of clear your mind, sort of relieve some pressure on you, some stress off you going into your senior year?
Yeah, no, I mean it definitely does. I'd say kind of in the back of every high school athlete's head, it's kind of a worry you have, like, where am I going to go? Am I going to get an offer from whoever? But it is, it's a weight off my shoulders, but at the same time, the job is by no means finished. So while I am committed to the Grizz, I'm going to obviously now work even harder, if that makes sense. But.
Definitely does, man. Well, congratulations again. We appreciate you for taking a minute for us here today, and we'll be in touch. We'll certainly follow along during your senior year, but thanks so much for doing it.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you so much.
Here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Appreciate these guys for letting me bug them. I know they're all busy with various different activities, etc. But fun catching up with all the recruits. I talked to Cade Librand earlier today. He's from Laurel. We've been saying Librand. He said that's a common mistake, but it's Librand. He's committed to the Cats. Play that for you either Thursday or Friday. And also going to record with Braden Zickman from Manhattan. Grizz commit coming up too. And efforting a couple of the other guys as well. So appreciate them for taking some time. Last Best Golf Company started in a garage 3 years ago with one goal: to deliver tour-quality club fitting and precision builds to golfers across western Montana. Last Best Golf Co. has since outgrown the garage. They have a brand new location right on 517 South Orange. That's the corner of Orange and 4th. From beginners to pros, they use advanced technology and proven data to help you get the absolute most out of your game. With spring right around the corner, now's the time to book your equipment consultation and make this season your best golf season yet. At Last Best Golf Co., they don't just sell off-the-rack golf clubs. Last Best Golf Co. builds pure performance, custom fit for you. Come check out the new shop, 517 Orange Street in Missoula. Over break, come back, take you home. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio.
whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
Access to Montana's great backyard is the best part of being a Grizzly. At the University of Montana, our classrooms are the mountain peaks, river valleys, and never-ending plains of the Big Sky Country. We provide students with the hands-on training to protect and enjoy hunting, conservation, and stewardship. UM launches the careers of outdoor leaders so that they can protect our traditions and ensure they are passed down for future generations. Because what's made in Montana is remaking the world.
Why would any business let you use their product and give you 365 days of reassurance? Mattress Firm does because they believe in their mattresses. Save on top brands like Nectar, Tempur-Pedic, Beautyrest, Serta, Stearns & Foster, and others. Mattress Firm carries $149 mattresses all the way up to the luxury Purple Rejuvenate Premier. 0% in payments as low as $39 a month, along with 365 days of reassurance. See why Mattress Firm is Montana's best place to find the sleep you deserve.
Mattress Firm, where it's easy to get a great night's sleep.
This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
Well, Grizz didn't go down without swinging at the Big Sky softball tournament. They were down 10-3 at the beginning of the seventh inning. They pushed it all the way to 10-7. They hit a home run, had another double. Pretty exciting, but the Grizz season ends with a 10-7 loss to Sacramento State. But a great year two under Steph Ewing, the head coach. We'll be back at it tomorrow. We'll hear from Brooks Nuanez. We'll hear from Ryan Tutel. And we'll hear from whoever else we can round up to be here on this fine radio show. See you at 4 p.m. Thanks much for hanging out and listening. This has been Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio.